tag is which she thought, and we didn't know if it was
So I will
tag.
start.
Tag is what you think.
That's
Tag,
what I'm thinking.
Tag. I'll
Her,
tag.
H-U-R-D-E.
Herd. Tag herd.
Okay.
Okay.
We're live.
Oops, she's sideways.
Much better. Do we have one more?
No, we're.
There we do.
There we go. Sorry, everybody.
No, great. Oh, perfect. Oh, good. We have almost a full house. So I do have, it's 5:31 and we are on, we're live. So whenever, and we do have everyone. So, whenever
Perfect.
Chair.
Well,
is
I will
ready.
go ahead and call this meeting to an order then. Wanted to just check and ensure that the staff has submitted the Kansas Open, request staff confirmation that Kansas Open Meeting Act had the required notices properly provided, has
Yes,
been
it
properly
has.
provided.
Yes, it has.
Perfect. All right, let's go ahead with roll call then.
Okay. Chair Grinter.
Present.
Vice Chair Godsey.
Present.
Commissioner Rivers.
Present.
Commissioner Kuchel.
Present.
Commissioner Mai.
Present.
Commissioner Tag Hurd. And then Youth Commissioner Owens.
Present.
Awesome. All right, thank you, everybody. Let's move on to the approval of the minutes.
I move that we approve the minutes for March 14th.
I
We
second
have a
it.
second. Awesome. Great. Perfect. Moved and seconded. So minutes are approved. Next up would be new business. And seeing none, I believe we would move on to the public hearing items.
There are none.
Seeing none, we would move on to the administrative items.
Yes, Chair, if I may, just a moment. Training.
Yes, please, yeah.
Training for new commissioners. This is the one we wanted to update everyone. We have a few new commissioners that haven't been through the initial training. And as we talked about, we have completed 4 videos and have 4 exams for those trainings. And we'd like the commissioners that have already been through the training to also, at their leisure, watch those too and see if there are things that you still have questions on, since it's our first attempt at doing this, to make sure. And we have the quizzes, but we will need Commissioner Mai and Commissioner Tag Hurd to complete those before they can start hearing cases. So we do have a sample. I think Marissa's prepared to pull it up. What we're going to do is we couldn't just drop this into the My Case format we have, and it was a little difficult because they're videos. So she has created a Word document for each of the videos. There will be one. We just did a sample today, but it'll be in your file. For those of you who are new, you will have a My Case file. If you haven't already gone in, you should go in and set up your My Case. You'll open it, and then you'll have a virtual binder there where we have everything contained. And then when you get a case assigned to you, everything will go through this My Case format. So it's confidential and it's kept secure. And that we've added in the virtual binder then these trainings. We'll do one full or one Word document for each of it. There's a link in there that takes you then to the YouTube video. And then Marissa, being the brilliant person that she is, was able to create a seamless doc quiz within there. So you'll be able to see that. Now, it doesn't automatically grade it and do all the fancy stuff like the school programs do. You won't automatically know. But once you take that quiz, we will see the quiz because it comes through our seamless doc system, and then we'll grade it and get back to you so you know the right answers. So you can there's no grading system. The only reason we do some questions is just to kind of spot check, one, that you're understanding that we're making sense in our training without the live feedback. That's always a little tricky. And then 2, so that we know that you completed it, just our way of checking that you completed it. So there are about 5 questions for each of the videos. We tried to keep them pretty simple, but we'd like you to complete that. Other commissioners, it's in there. We'd like you also to complete it, but that won't keep you from serving on if we get a new case coming and we have to go before the HRC for it. But those, until we have the two newest commissioners serve or complete that, we can't really ask you, because I don't think you'd want to either. It's pretty confusing without this training. So hopefully we've broken it up into small enough chunks. One of them's a little longer than I wish, but I guess they'll attest I'm probably pretty windy when I'm talking about these, but we tried to make it go along with the video and answer all the questions I could preempt of what people have asked in the past and all of that. And hopefully they make sense and they're helpful. Anyway, so you should be able to
There's
find
4
it.
of them?
There'll be 4. But we're doing them individually in a Word document. The Word document's not very long, but we couldn't just drop the video straight into my case. That didn't work. It worked on her iPad, but it wasn't working when you're on the computer. So I don't know if it has to do if you're through the app or for that. It was just too confusing, and this was the best solution we came up with. So hopefully this works. We're ready to get feedback from you. Hopefully by the next time we meet,
Okay, you
we'll
want
have
feedback
everyone
within
through
30
it.
days.
Yeah. Well, actually, that's a little
more?
bit later on in the agenda. You'll have longer than that.
Okay.
Because we cannot do our next meeting. So
Oh, okay.
I hope that answers everyone's question. And I hope
thank you
that's
for-
helpful going forward. And we're anxious to see the feedback on this, because if it works, maybe we don't need to do those couple long study sessions that we always have to do these trainings. Everyone will just kind of set some timelines and have people do them on their own. And Commissioner, our youth commissioner, you don't have to complete these trainings, but you are welcome to. Marissa's going to set it up so that you can have access to this. You can have access to the virtual binder, and this training talks a lot about what's in that virtual binder and what you can find in there, because we use this program, My Case, to send out cases when people hear them. However, it's by case basis. When you're a member of My Case, it's only people that are given access to each individual case. So you won't actually hear cases, you won't have access to that, but you can at least see the process. And if you have any questions, you're welcome to ask. You're not required, but we'd like you to have the opportunity to, and we welcome feedback. Except
Perfect.
if
Thank you
you
guys for putting that together. It's been something we've been trying to do for a long time. And
Okay.
for those of you that have been on the committee, it's been, a long time coming. And I know it's a lot of work. So we definitely appreciate that. It's going to make it a lot easier. For those of you that are new, it usually takes two 1-hour sessions, or maybe a little bit more than an hour to go through this.
Probably 2 hour-and-a-half sessions. So to be honest,
it takes
to
a
get-
lot. So in order to be able to do this, not at our leisure, because I guess there's a timeline, but at least in the comfort of our own homes or something like that, it's a lot. It's very much appreciated. So thank you for the hard work on that.
Okay. Well, don't thank me till you've seen them, I guess. Make sure you can tolerate them, but hopefully.
They look great already, so I can only imagine.
Okay.
All right, let's go on to docket review and update of case status.
Yes, we send out, for those of you who may be new for the first time, we send out a docket report. We don't go over cases for confidentiality reasons. It's very vague, and the docket doesn't have any case names. We just use numbers. But we do give a docket report with every packet that we send out, and we color code them. I don't know if they always did that, but I like color coding, and so does Marissa. So we have implemented employment law. Employment cases are blue, housing cases are green, and this orangish red are public accommodation cases. And we haven't waived any cases to HUD, but there were some when we came on because of the gap in between. So those are kind of yellow. That we may take that out of the report because I don't see waiving any. That was for the time when the office didn't have staff. They had to waive over to HUD. For a period of time, we are following those. But we have nothing but housing cases, which I guess is what we prefer because we have the agreement with HUD to do housing cases and service HUD. It's called a FAP agreement, Fair Housing I don't know what the AP stands for, but it's their Fair Housing Assistance Program, probably what it stands for, but it basically means we have an agreement with HUD to act as HUD's investigator in the city of Salina in our jurisdiction that we're authorized. We have an agreement with them. There are a lot of, as it runs a lot like a federal grant. You have to do reporting like a federal grant. There are a lot of hoops to go through like a federal grant. Managing the money is like a federal grant. It's not exactly a grant, but it is an agreement with HUD to do those investigations. So the majority of our cases do seem to fall in the housing category for a lot of reasons. And the ones that we have on today, on the docket before you today that we'll talk about are all housing. With that, we'll go to the ones, we have quite a few closed. We've had some inquiries. They haven't led to too many new cases. The open cases, we had 3. One is still, and I followed up just last week, it's still with the DOJ. Our HUD, they're called a GTM, our general manager from HUD, our liaison, I call him our liaison, but his title's GTM. I don't know what it stands for, but he's our primary contact. He was looking into it. We haven't seen any movement on the Department of Justice behalf, so we still can't do any action on that case. Everything's on hold while the Department of Justice is reviewing it, which for those of you who are new and just for anyone that might be listening, the Department of Justice has released an initiative that they are really taking a serious look at any sexual harassment type cases that come before them in all over the United States. They are looking at these, and if they have any they want to take a closer look at. They're taking that very seriously on sexual harassment in housing. And the Department of Justice and HUD both have dual authority to enforce on cases and take cases to trial and basically trump us if they want. There are certain cases that they've always been able to do that, anything that might involve freedom of speech type issues, and there are a couple other things, but this is a pretty new initiative that sexual harassment cases, Department of Justice is taking a look at all of them, and we've had a couple, but this is the first one of ours they've called up and they're looking at, and it's been in this limbo status for quite a while. That said, the other 2 cases, the H322/23, that first one listed, it actually settled last week. We have the conciliation signed. It is done. We don't have the check yet, but it has been signed by all parties. So hopefully we'll collect the check and the rest of the monitoring will go fine and we'll be able to officially close that case. Once a case has settled, we still have to monitor it to make sure payments and all of the things that both parties have agreed to do are done. So we have it in monitoring process. I think usually once it'll probably move up to closed for our purposes and HUD closes it, we get credit for it closing because we get our credit for when we get paid is when it closes. So we get credit for it, but it still can linger on until they've completed all their tasks, and we monitor it until they do. Then the last case on that, H722/23, we have a verbal agreement with the attorney. We're working through the conciliation. I think it'll be conciliated and settled hopefully by the next time we meet. Otherwise, it'll either be settled by the next time we meet or it'll be on docket to go to the court, one or the other. But there is an attorney involved, and the attorney and our office agree. It's whether the parties will agree and sign and whether there's any negotiating back and forth on that. It sometimes is a process, but I feel pretty confident it'll probably be settled by the next time we meet. And I don't know if anyone has any further questions on the case, and hopefully after you go through the training, if you do have any questions, please don't hesitate, write them down, ask. You can email. As long as you don't email everyone else and start a meeting, you can email our office at any time with questions, just individually. Just make sure you don't do a group email to everyone. That's why we try to keep them blind copy when we send out emails, but as long as so we don't risk any violation of the CORA Act, just make sure and you can always call our office too, but no group texts or emails. Are there any other questions? That's the end of my lengthy report there.
Doesn't look like it. So we'll move on to the Fair Housing Seminar update. I heard it was a great time.
Well, we sure enjoyed it. It went smoothly as I thought it would, considering we had a hiccup during the event. I don't know if you heard that too. In the morning, they started having the toilets go out on the main floor where we were, and so we had to adjust during that. The TPEC was great. They just said, we're going to have to, what do you call it? When they flush it out with the line and they go down.
Make it. Yeah.
They were going to have to snake it, which is really loud. So the rest of the seminar that we went, they wouldn't be able to hear us. So during lunch, I went and talked to all the vendors and told them what was going on and if they wanted to stay. But after lunch, we moved everyone upstairs. So that we just got everything moved and shipped out to everything upstairs while people were eating. So I think it was pretty seamless. Few people we had to tell because they had left they did not stay or had gone. So we had to tell them to come upstairs. But for considering it transitioned pretty well, and we moved upstairs, and all the vendors and sponsors were fantastic, and because they were going to be in the room right by this where it was going on, and there was really no point in them staying early. And I did personally talk to each of them and say, hey, I'm sorry, but we're going to have to do this if you want a refund or anything. And everyone was very gracious and didn't require that. They were all appreciative. They were excited to leave early on a Friday, I guess, be done sooner. It was Friday. And then the only other update is we have confirmed that we will be able to do it the final Friday in April next year. So we already have it on TPEC's calendar for April 26th of 2024. It's leap year, so it's the 26th of April. In 2024, and we've got that scheduled so we can kind of, I think if we are consistent in our date, we'll have a little bit more traction on our marketing and our advertising and that. Hopefully by our next meeting, we'll have a report from the surveys. We kind of were accumulating all of that. Spencer was putting that together, and by the next time we should have a report on that. So I don't know if anyone has any other questions. It was a good day. We felt like the speakers were good. The feedback we didn't get as many surveys back as we wanted, so we converted the paper ones. A lot of people left, or some people left early and they didn't pick one up or whatever, and so we sent out an email, and we've got quite a few back, or pretty quickly back, on the seamless stock thing again. And so we're hoping next year to convert and have everyone with a QR code and seamless stock and Marissa's wizardry. We'll get it up, and I think it'll be a little easier for people to fill it out because they filled out the one online really quickly, the ones that hadn't paper-wise, and I don't know, we'll work on that. I think that's a change for next year, one thing that we're hoping to implement. Anyway, I don't know if anyone else has any feedback, but that's about it.
Cinnamon rolls were good.
Yes, we got a lot of feedback on that too. I thought so too. So.
Funny. Well, I had heard it was a good time, but I did. It was only after I asked for more information that somebody mentioned that there were some issues with some plumbing. So I don't think it was the top of mind for anybody that I had talked to. So
we didn't have too many complaints about it, so I was thankful. We were trying to make it work during the event and make it smooth for everyone. So TPEC did a fabulous job of helping us move and do that. I mean, that was a quick transition. We had an hour to get everything transitioned from the main floor to the upstairs and get it all set up. So I was pretty impressed, and they worked with us to get it done. So kudos to them.
Well, thank you for all of your hard work. I know it takes a lot, and it goes through a lot of different processes, and there's a lot of connection with external, what we would call on our campuses, subject matter experts. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
Next item is going to be the June meeting, whether we are canceling or rescheduling.
Well, we would ask in our office that we cancel the meeting because we have several trainings. I will be at an ADA training. We have several other trainings. As part of our HUD agreement, we have to go to so many trainings a year. And the ADA is part of kind of my other hat a little bit in this office. And the national conference is that week in Kansas City. I don't get to go to the national conference very often, but since it's in Kansas City, I am planning to head there. I don't know when it'll get back that close to me again, because I don't think that one's coming to Salina. So that's I will be there, and we are. If, for those of you who may not have heard, we have an opening in our office now. Spencer's last day was last Friday, so it's just Marissa and I. So we would ask that we don't reschedule it in June. We just keep it on the regular July. And with the fair housing event being over and the trainings being done, we would submit. It's a good time to maybe cancel that meeting and not try and reschedule it at a different time.
That makes sense to me. Does anybody else have any issues with that?
I move that we cancel the June meeting.
Okay.
I would second it. Sherry?
Okay. Moved and seconded. So yeah, I think we're all in agreement. Let's just cancel it.
Sounds good to me. So we'll meet in July at the normal time, and we've already looked at our trainings for July and what we have to catch up on, and it's good. So we're keeping that. And that'll give everyone a little more time to get through the trainings.
Definitely, yeah. Well, we'll move on to our preliminary discussion items. Seeing none, we'll go to unfinished or other business. There's none there as well. So we will go to public forum.
Is anyone, I'll ask for Marissa, is anyone online?
No, we do not have many members of the public online.
All right. Well, seeing nothing, or nobody rather, we will move on to adjournment. Can I get is this something that we need a motion second?
No, I don't. Well, we do, but I did have one announcement I did want to make, that we had 2 members go off of the committee, just so everyone's aware. I think if I sent you some discussions on it, Chair Grunter, or not, but Commissioner Canales was moving. And so in order to keep our quorum, because we had a little issue with quorum last meeting and not being able to, but because she's been in the process of moving, her husband's graduated from the med school, and unfortunately they've found a new community. I'm sad to lose them, and she's very sad to leave, but she did go ahead and give her resignation before this meeting, so it affects our quorum by the number of people seated, or what determines our quorum. So she did, and then Commissioner Africa is no longer on the committee either. But
Thank you for letting me know. Yeah.
So we have a total of
That's sad,
7 now?
yeah.
So we have
No,
7. We have 2 openings now. If anyone wants to apply, I don't know when they'll be appointing. Normally in September is when they do it, but they're open to it. If you have any friends that you want to send over, now is a good time, because we do officially have 2 openings now on this committee.
And Michelle, if I might jump in real quick.
Yes.
With the terms, we have a couple people whose terms are going to be ending this August. So Chair Grunter, Vice Chair Godsey, and Commissioner Rivers, if that is something that you'd like to do to renew for a second term, there should be an email that is sent out to you.
Just make sure, if you haven't, go online to renew, because you do have to reapply. You're eligible to serve 2 consecutive terms. Is that right? I think 2 consecutive terms, and then, but you still have to reapply to when your first term is up by protocol. So we try and remind everyone, but now's a good time to remind everyone why we're at it, since we won't be here in June.
Thank you for letting us know. All right. If there's nothing else, we'll move on to adjournment. Can I get a motion second?
Move to adjourn?
I second it.
Perfect. Moved and seconded. We are adjourned.
Thank you.